this customer, a med device company. Whenever they would have an issue, they would create this root cause analysis. They'd figure out what the root cause was and how they should solve it going forward. And they would dump it into a CSV file and they would throw it away and they would never rely on it again. So we built this widget, and you can, connect it to your Tulip tables, and it automatically learns the data in that table and provides a chat interface to the shop floor where they can very quickly ask a question.
Hi, I'm Madilynn Castillo, the CMO here at Tulip and host of The Humans in the Loop, our video series about the people behind the product, specifically our new AI capabilities. And I have a couple of my colleagues here today. Pete, why don't you start with an introduction?
Yeah, my name is Pete Hartnett, product manager here at Tulip, responsible for AI. I've been at Tulip for 3.5 years, but I come from a Tulip customer. So manufacturer at heart, specifically from the discrete manufacturing world, but today responsible for kind of all of our AI offerings.
Incredible. And Brennan?
Hi, I'm Brennan Reamer. I lead our Tulip Experience Center, where we showcase the art of the possible, where we bring customers around and show them how our Tulip platform can be used for real-world use cases. And it's also where we recently released our new Tulip MCP server.
Why don't you help people understand what types of things are featured in the Tulip Experience Center or the tech?
Yeah, so our Tulip Experience Center features a variety of different use cases and demos where we like to tour potential customers so they can better understand Tulip and how it applies to their use cases.
So Pete, you talk to a lot of manufacturers and you have a manufacturing background. What are some of the problems or challenges you heard or have heard are most helpful to solve using some of the AI capabilities in the platform?
Yeah, it's interesting. As a product manager, I kind of sit as a proxy between our customers and our commercial teams and our engineering teams. And so I have this unique opportunity to have visibility to our customers across verticals, whether we're talking about life sciences or automotive or general manufacturing or industrial equipment, as this opportunity to see the kind of common problems that exist across these verticals and ultimately solve them with Tulip. One of the problems that we've kind of been chasing for the last year, and with AI Composer we've made some pretty meaningful progress on, is this problem of sort of existing documentation that's not very accessible. And there's many different examples of this for different personas, right? Like manufacturing is this uniquely documented world, right? There's like hundreds and thousands of SOPs and work instructions and root cause analysis and troubleshooting guides and you name it. There's like so much documentation, but we don't make that very readily accessible to the shop floor or readily accessible to our engineers as they're building, right? So recently we built this operator chat widget, right? This frontline copilot widget, really intended to solve the problem of how do we bring this information to the shop floor, right? When they have a problem, how can we connect them to the information on how to solve that themselves, right? This is derivative of a conversation we had with a customer and a POV that we did a number of years ago, right? This customer had a bunch of root cause analysis data, and they had been, whenever they would have an issue, this is a med device company. Whenever they would have an issue, they would create this root cause analysis. They'd figure out what the root cause was and how they should solve it going forward. And they would dump it into a CSV file and they would throw it away and they would never rely on it again. And so this massive CSV of all of this incredible information that they weren't able to provide to the shop floor. So we built this widget, and you can connect it to your Tulip tables, and it automatically learns the data in that table and provides a chat interface to the shop floor where they can very quickly ask a question. It's going to go rely on the strength of something like an LLM to understand what you're asking for and to find the most relevant content. But it has restricted knowledge to just the data that you care about, right? Just your source of truth as a business. So the ability to kind of map this problem to this new technology is something that we're constantly trying to do, but I think we've found unique value in the documentation that exists in manufacturing.
And that can be a challenge for a lot of people that are excited about AI as a technology and want to adopt it, but aren't quite sure where or the right use case to use it in. Brennan, can you talk a little bit about how we've incorporated those new capabilities in the tech?
Yeah, so we've actually incorporated this new frontline copilot chat widget through a variety of different demos. One of my favorite use cases is our and-on demo, where it's trained on all of our previous and-on alerts. So anytime an operator triggers an alert, they can then chat to that chat widget and discuss it with the previous alerts. So if they can figure out their problem based on how we've resolved those previously. And anytime we report a new alert with a new resolution, it will actually retrain itself as you move on.
And there are some other kind of core areas, right, when thinking about global operations that are easier to maybe show versus tell people about in the tech. Can you talk through a couple of those?
Yeah, so we also have our new AI translations integrated throughout our tech. So, for example, if you want to change the language of a certain station, you can actually tap an RFID badge it'll log in that new user, and that'll automatically change the app to be from English to Spanish to French to any language, really, all using AI app translations. So someone working side by side on the same app could speak completely different languages. You can have a totally multilingual production line.
Amazing. A lot of our customers are global customers, so I'm imagining that was part of the feedback. But Pete, maybe you can talk through some of the core considerations that we have when thinking about how do we build or help build technology that'll solve solutions for a customer in a way that maybe other AI tools, while also using LLMs, don't quite fit for.
Yeah, I think the power of LLMs was basically immediately clear, right? The moment that we had this new technology, it's like, this is incredible. I wanted to generate apps, I wanted to do this, I wanted to do that. But I think the reality is deployment into enterprise environments. It's been a little bit more challenging. There's some pretty key hurdles. I think increasingly as we work with our customers, both in more regulated industries and less regulated industries, we find that the commonalities of best manufacturing practices apply in both places, right? So when we're working with a language model, making sure that there's always a human in the loop to verify that output, citing our sources and things like this, and making sure that we have these kind of capabilities across the offering, right? So you can safely adopt this stuff without, any API setup, any, validation of Model A versus Model B versus Model C. So something that we can just handle for our customers, and then building features that give them the capabilities to make sure that a human is always in the loop and can always validate those sources, for example.
So there's this principle of how do we maximize the opportunity, have a really high ceiling, but a really low barrier to entry, which I think is a good tie-in to Brennan, some of the work that you did around the MCP server. Can you talk me through that?
Yeah, so I've noticed that a lot of our customers are very interested in getting these important target KPIs, but that doesn't really show the full picture of the shop floor, and they're collecting all of this data into their Tulip instances. So based on that and the power of the LLMs, I was able to create a connection between your local LLM, that could be your Claude, your ChatGPT, anything, and your Tulip instance. So now you can easily chat with your Tulip instance and understand your data at an instant. So you could ask a question like, give me a rundown of my shop floor today, and it'll give you all of the important metrics that you need and a full list of any actions that you can take off of that.
One of the things that stands out from that description is you're talking about someone using the technology to learn what's going on. So someone who needs to have that data to maybe make decisions about the shop floor. But earlier Pete was talking about the chat widget. Can you talk me through thinking about designing for different types of users and what that looks like in terms of collaboration and feedback from the customer?
Yeah, I think there's foundationally the same challenges, but very different considerations when we're thinking about designing for the shop floor. Right? When we think about shop floor environments, we're thinking about usually a pretty isolated problem. Right? We know the user is going to have to solve this specific case. Traditionally, you would do this with a deterministic app. But also when we're leveraging AI, we expect the scope of the problem to be smaller, right? Root cause analysis, not root cause analysis, and. When we're designing for an engineer that's doing something like building within Tulip, we're designing for someone that has significantly more access. So we need to be making considerations about what is the right data model, what is the right user experience. Is this one application or two applications? Is this too much content for one step? And so the scope of concern when we're building AI solutions is just far, far broader when we're working with an engineer. And then when we start working with the shop floor, we're trying to build pretty isolated solutions to solve isolated problems, to simplify things like testing and validation and that sort of thing.
And Brennan, when you think about those, different personas, right? How do you switch through or switch between this is something that an engineer would use building in Tulip, or someone would use trying to get insight from Tulip, versus this is their customer, like an operator or an end user, and this is how they could get value out of Tulip or their experience with Tulip?
I mean, certain features like the chat widget, for example, can be embedded directly in your apps. So these can be provided more to that shop floor level. These provide them better context for what they need to do for their work instructions. But this higher level, engineer and supervisor, would be more what all of your station's status is, the important metrics off of that, more that higher view.
Okay. And you were telling me earlier that it can be helpful for people to see this because they see their own facility in the tech. Particularly, I think there was an automotive customer. Can you tell me that story again?
Yeah, so I had an automotive customer in here the other day. They actually toured our experience center and they explained how they have all of their work instructions in PDF format. So they have hundreds of PDFs. That's very hard for them to use on the shop floor outside of just printing out and giving one to every operator. So now they can use our new AI Composer widget to build those into Tulip apps. So using the AI Composer, these PDFs are simply inputted and with AI can be translated into a Tulip application that gets them to that 80% of the way. From there, they can iterate on that. And iterating on that app allows them to integrate other features like connections to other apps in their factory floor, to their ERP, to their PLM, any sort of other service that they want, as well as collecting all that data off of that. So then based on that data, they can then review their process, improve it even further. So then it opens it up for future improvement down the line as well.
Can you talk me through the considerations, Pete, when designing that feature, or like the things that we learned from customers that helped us create a capability that got them not just to digital, but to interactive workflows faster?
Yeah, so I think, over the last few years of talking to our customers quite a lot, one of the kind of core considerations, especially early on in someone's Tulip journey, very often they're coming to us saying they're looking to do something like digital transformation. They don't quite know how to approach that. But the first place they want to go is start digitizing existing process, right? I've got all these documents and I want to turn that into an application, or I've got all these data collection processes that are right now, they're paper checklists, and I want to turn those into applications. So the AI Composer is really built for that audience, right? I've got a ton of existing content. I don't want to have to copy, paste, and manually build these applications. So we built the AI Composer, which allows you to take this stuff and drop it directly in there. In a couple of minutes, take that document, process that document, and turn it into, not just a one-to-one paper-on-glass representation where your 8.5 by 11 is now smashed onto a screen, but rather something that's quite aware of the new format that this is being displayed in, right? Leaving you space to be able to do things like build additional capabilities, like integrations with an ERP in, or add additional defect tracking in, as well as leveraging all of the kind of foundational platform capabilities that Tulip has. Think permissioning, versioning, approvals, user management, that kind of thing.
So it's not the same as if I, for example, wanted to build a dashboard, or I guess take work instructions and make them come up using an LLM myself. I could probably put them in digital, but couldn't, I guess, add an audit trail.
Well, I think that's kind of our core focus. Is there are many companies that are working really, really hard to build incredibly powerful models. How can we leverage that technology and bring it to our users to solve their real problems? So we're really focused on what is unique about manufacturing, right? They need to be able to verify that content was extracted correctly. They need something that understands what a good app representation is, not just our app representation, and has these things, like you're saying, approvals and validation and things like this that don't come out of the box with ChatGPT.
And what is some feedback you've gotten from customers that have maybe changed the way that you position these use cases, or maybe helped you identify new ones that we could feature in the tech?
Yeah, so I think, building Tulip has always been a very, very iterative process, right? We start with a hypothesis about a problem that we think we can solve with a technology. And as we build solutions, we learn more. So a good example of this is AI Composer, right? We built this primarily as a tool to help people to get to value faster, right? The implication being relatively new customers that have a lot of these documents that they want to produce. What we found is there was actually a bunch of our customers, including some of our earliest customers, have been customers for nearly a decade, that also wanted to leverage this feature, and they had unique needs. For example, one of our customers is in assembly of luxury goods, is quite mature in their deployment, right? So they have a bunch of best practices and UI patterns and data model that they're sharing across applications. And so they gave us the feedback that this is great, but I want to be able to fuse this with some of these best practices that I've already built into my instance. I want to bring my own template to this application and leverage the AI specifically for the thing it's good at, understanding my document, understanding my process. And so this was a capability we were able to extend the AI Composer to support. And suddenly this customer that wasn't really a core target for this feature can go adopt it, even years and years into their digital transformation.
All right, next topic, one of your favorites, data. Tell me a little bit about how the way that data lives in Tulip unlocks access and value from our AI capabilities.
So a lot of our customers deal with a lot of unstructured data, all of their data coming from different silos of different softwares, different machines. So getting that into Tulip, they can then have it fully structured, and they can actually use it for different uses, like using our frontline copilot, for example.
Yeah, as a foundation, Tulip has always focused on what is that end user experience, right? Let's make the data almost an afterthought. And this is becoming, far, far more powerful when we start thinking about this generative AI and predictive AI on top of this less structured data. We work with a lot of our customers that have gone through, years-long deployments of these crazy monolithic systems with these equally crazy and monolithic data models, and the ability to just incrementally start solving their problems with Tulip, and then flexibly leverage that data that's coming out of these applications, especially when leveraging things like the Tulip MCP to pretty deeply understand the structure of that data, has proven to be incredibly powerful, right? Suddenly, data modeling isn't where you win or lose, but ideally an afterthought, right? Focus on the value and focus on the problems you're actually trying to solve, not the data to represent it.
Thank you both so much for joining me. This has been a wonderful conversation here on The Humans in the Loop.
Thank you.
Thank you.